Mentioned, we're going to be getting into the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. And the first story we had is the Bragbook app has been released. So, Nika, tell us a little bit more about the Bragbook app.
Sure. So it's essentially an iOS only so far app that's really basically a wins tracker. Um, Honestly, this started out as just something for me. And I've learned, the thing with AI is make my life easier for things that I'm going to do. And so, this year has definitely been a challenging one for me. And I was like, you know what? Let me start writing down some of the good things that are happening, whether they be big or whether they be small. So, what do? I go over to the Notes app, create a new app, and I title it Today's Wins. And I start tracking just small little things that, are good that are happening. So something I can refer back to say, you know what? So this week wasn't all that bad. I had this go right, that go right. And it could be something as simple as losing a pound or I have a new plant that's growing, those types of things. And as I started, tracking things, I was like, this could actually work for performance review time because I know, when I do them, I don't really. I try and do it at the last minute for the 6 month review. It's like going back through emails, trying to figure out what I did. And so essentially, this app has two components. It has a personal side for your personal wins, and it also has a professional side, a career side, where you can kind of track your different wins that you get at work, whether it's launching a product, leading a meeting, whatever the case may be. And the good thing is there's an export feature. So you can export either in plain text or in a PDF. So you already have your performance review, your end of the year, mid year review already kind of collated in one place that's kind of tracked throughout the year so you don't have to run and do it at the end of the year. It was an app that I co-created using the Claude API. So yeah, I haven't really built an app in a really long time, and I was like, hey, this is something that I think was definitely used for myself. And I was like, if nobody else uses it but me, I will do that. But so far, I launched it on Tuesday. Of course, it's in the App Store. You can go to the bragbook.app to get the details, where to, it'll take you right to the App Store to download it. So, yeah, so it's something that I kind of came up with on the fly. I'm the queen of side quests. So it was kind of a side quest. I was actually working on a different app and I kind of switched and I came up with this one and got this one built and got it in the App Store in probably about a month.
All right. So, tell us about the experience of developing, creating an app using AI.
So I use Claude Code. And what I've learned with this process is the prompting obviously is key. Initially, Claude was creating prompts and I would just kind of put them into my IDE. I use VS Code to program. That's practically what I use in any development. But what I learned is one of the questions that I asked it as we were going on, I said, I asked it for basically the outline of what a good prompt is to create, different features of an app. And it kind of broke it down to the different components of what needs to go into it. So it was one of those things I was learning as I was building, and it turned out really well. I For this app, I took a screenshot of what my notes app was, and I upload the screenshot, and it kind of got the essence of what I was doing, and it was able to take a screenshot from my notes app and and it was able to help me build out an interface. And I think one of the things is important to remember when you're building these apps, when you're writing these prompts. A lot of times what I did was, because I use this thing from beginning to end, so that's from ideation all the way up through marketing. So when I was getting ready to build the app, I said, or to do the content creation for all the different posts, I said, thinking and operating as a senior marketing professional, what create me a launch day kit. It created a launch day kit, it created a marketing kit, it created a media day kit with all the different assets. It actually built out assets Of course, I changed them and I modified them, but it gives you a good basis and you kind of tweak and refine it because, you write something and it would fail and or it wouldn't look the way you want to. You just kind of have to keep iterating over it to get the output that you want. And I have to say, it helped me create the logo. It gave me some ideas of, based on what I was trying to do. And I kind of picked of the options because I always ask, give me options. Don't just give me one thing. I want to be able to kind of create what I want. So it gave me options. Picked and pulled from different pieces to kind of craft, what I was actually looking for. So it was a very interesting process and it was pretty seamless and smooth to kind of work through the full flow. So yeah, so I would definitely give the process definitely a thumbs up. It was definitely not just building something, but it was very informational as well. And it, coming from a person who built things without, code, we just had Stack Overflow back in the day to kind of help you figure out issues. It was definitely a different look at being a software developer, software engineer, architect, all those types of things. When you have, a thinking partner, because again, I had it build out architecture diagrams as well, and I kind of tweaked those. So, I kind of did the full kind of life cycle with all the different parts or all the different people you would need on a team to kind of do an effort like this.
So, for all the people out there who are thinking about or in the process of building an app, building a website using AI, whether it be Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, whatever the case may be, can you speak to how your background in development assisted in that process, and what tips would you give to somebody who doesn't have a development background that's trying to develop an app using AI? What would be your advice or tips to them as a developer?
So the thing that was most beneficial to me was that I could read the code, I could understand what it was doing, the structure that it built. So when there was an error or when there was something that didn't work the way I wanted to, I could actually go in and debug it myself. I actually made, some of the edits myself to the code, tweaking the prompts and those types of things. So it definitely, I think in my instance, I was able to get it out so quickly and with the quality that it is definitely due to my technical background. That definitely helps because I made sure to put in, security features and making sure, you take into account some of the things that people who may be vibe coding something who doesn't have the structural background when it comes to software development, software engineering, all those types of terms. So that made the process, I would say, easier and more efficient for me because I understood what it was creating, how it was creating it, and I was able to go in and manipulate the code myself to get where I needed to get. Now, for people who don't necessarily have a technical background or a background in software engineering or architecting or any of those types of things, the biggest thing I would probably say that's the most important is understand fully what you want to build. Because if you go in and you start prompting and you're not quite sure, you're kind of dilly dallying, or you don't know how to go to a direction, definitely have a firm idea. And honestly, don't be afraid to ask Claude because I know in one of the instances, something was going weird with my IDE and I couldn't figure out what was going wrong with it.
And
And I
IDE
asked it.
for the layman's.
Oh, IDE, that's your development environment. So
Okay.
there are multiple different kinds of things so that you can use. You can use VS Code, you can use PyCharm. It really depends on the type of language that you're using. A lot of the IDEs do allow you to write uh, in multiple different languages. And I said PyCharm. I probably should have said JetBrains. Um, JetBrains make PyCharm, and they make a bunch of other development environments as well. So with Claude Code, I know you can work Claude Code in multiple different ways. You can do it in the terminal. I think you can now do it within the desktop app of Claude, or if you choose like I did, I just added the plugin to the IDE that I prefer to use. So again, don't be afraid if you're doing this. Be Claude again is a thinking partner. Gemini is a thinking partner. OpenAI, they're all thinking partners. So be upfront and honest and say, I've never done this. I'm a novice. I don't understand. Help me set up my environment. Use it truly as a thinking partner. If you're thinking it, if you're like, I'm building this, I was like, I don't know what this means. Have it to do that. Also, have it write tests for you. I did, like I said, I kind of treated this like a full scale development cycle process. So I had internal testing and then I had beta testers to test it before it went into the app store. So make sure you think about all those different aspects. And if you aren't in this background when you start, that's the question you ask to your thinking partner. I'm new to this. I've never done this before. I don't have a background in software development. What do I need to know? What do I need to do? Help me walk through, help me set up the environment, do all of those precursor things. And then that gives your thinking partner a frame of reference to know where you are. So when it communicates back to you, it's able to communicate in a language that you'll understand and will be able to follow.
So with Claude Code, you say you built this in Claude Code.
Mm-hmm.
Did it give you you told it what language you want to develop in? Or did it?
Not particularly, because when you're creating a iOS app, you have to use Swift.
Got it.
And so once it starts to build it out, it creates the functions, it creates the different pieces of it in Swift. So again, for me, I was using VS Code that had the Claude plugin. But when I was writing these things, again, that helps when you're setting it up. I have Xcode obviously on my machine. It was building out the files simultaneously. When you link the two together, it was building out. You have to basically tell it, but in my environment, it was building out those Swift files. And I had my IDE connected to Xcode. So when it created those files in my IDE, which was VS Code, it was also doing it in Xcode at the same time. So once you're in, so basically it's two different kind of pieces to this. It's the thing that you're actually building in and the thing that actually builds it. So when you're in Xcode, you can do a simulator for your app, and you get to decide if you want an iPhone 17, if you want an iPhone 11, because different people are on different types of phones. They're on different types of iOSs. So, that simulator is very helpful because it gives you the phone and you're able to manipulate the simulator as you would, your actual device, or you can connect your actual device and it'll, put a provisional version of the app on your phone as well, because there are some things that you can't really gauge on the simulator as opposed to on the actual phone.
All right. Now you said a whole bunch of acronyms, a whole bunch of developy stuff, right? Going back to the person that has zero development background, you offered us some tips on what to do, but how efficient or how helpful do you believe AI can be when helping somebody or building for somebody a website or an app that again has zero development background? Would you advise somebody who's starting or in the middle to take a break, or if they haven't started, to actually do a little research on how the framing, wireframing, architecture, development environment, frameworks, all these things that the novice, or not novice, the person that doesn't have a development background is not going to know anything about that, right?
Hmm.
All they know is they've got some thoughts, they got some things written down, they've got an understanding as to how apps work, because I'm assuming they have apps, right?
Hmm.
But they don't know anything about the stuff, right,
Hmm.
that goes into development.
Right.
How helpful do you believe, as far as a good, polished, finished product, that AI can kind of help this person along the way? Or would you advise them, like, hold up, I know you want to build this thing. Maybe you do need to, do a little reading and understand what's happening so you can make it that much better.
So, like with anything new that you're learning, you always want to do the research first to understand what you're getting into. And the other thing I will say is pack a lot of patience. Again, because of my background, I was able to get this done in less than a month with all of the diagrams and, from idea to in the app store in less than a month. And I was able to do that because I did have a point of reference. You're coming into something new, there is definitely going to be a learning gap, and it depends on your background. And it also depends on, honestly, your demeanor,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be patient. Even as someone who has as extensive background as I have, I was frustrated at certain points, and I'd be like, "This doesn't make sense. I keep telling it what I want. I keep, changing it to do what I want, and it says it's there and it's not there," and those types of things. So you definitely have to pack your patience. You you have to set your expectations. A lot of times I know, people have grand ideas and they have these huge things, and that's great. And we should all, have these big ideas. And there's also the realistic aspect of it, of what you can actually accomplish. So my suggestion would be, even though people, may see it as counterintuitive, start with a small thing
Mm-hmm.
that you know how to work. So say start with a calculator, or start with something basic that how it works, what it looks like, to help you kind of ease your way into it. Every engineer, every developer, I don't care, whether it's been 50 years or whether it's been 5 days, everybody starts with a hello world app
Mm-hmm.
and whatever your preferred language is. And
Oh,
that's
so you're saying
basically,
like build a calculator, kind of start there.
yes, start, or
Got it.
something of the similar, something that you're familiar with, that once you get into building it and you're telling your thinking partner what to do, it kind of, if it's something simple that you already understand, to me it helps you to be more able to kind of navigate and figure out what's going on, figure out what's being created, what's happening, rather than starting with your grand idea and you're going in and it's like, what is all this stuff? I don't understand. So I say, like I said, every engineer, every developer, we all start with the Hello World app. Or Hello World program, and whatever language that it's doing. And that just gives you the understanding of syntax, of how to run it. Because again, with these, particularly with a mobile app, um, you have to compile your your code. A lot of people outside of software engineering doesn't have a clue what compile means. And so you have to know that, and that's one of the things in the prompt. You have to, if you don't manually compile it, when you write your prompt, tell it to build and succeed. Tell it doesn't finish, the whole creation until it builds and succeeds, because sometimes you have errors, and not just sometimes, most of the time you have errors, because that's just the nature of the beast. And then running the simulator. So just, understanding the different pieces. I always say it's better to, do the research first, so that you know what you're getting into, to save you, honestly, some frustration, and to save you from just like completely giving up on the whole process, completely giving up on the thing because you've jumped into it and now it's overwhelming. You don't know what to do, and now you're frustrated. And now it's like, it's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to do it for me. Yes, it's supposed to help you, but again, it is a thinking partner and it can do a lot of stuff. But again, like I always say with AI, there's always that human injection. You have to be able to communicate with it so that it knows what to do. Again, it can take some leeway to kind of understand what you're trying to do and take that approach to do it for you, but you still need to be clear on what you're doing.
All right, all right. So, congrats to you on the app launch. Again, tell them what it's about and tell the folks where they can find it.
Sure, it's the brag book. It's a wins tracker for the whole person, from your personal side to your career side. And it gives you the ability to track easy wins. And it also gives you the ability to get performance be ready. I know we've just had the mid year. So if you download it now and start using it by your in year, you can have everything where you need it to be. You can head over to the bragbook.app to get all the details and to get to the link to download the app.
All right, all right. Once again, that is the bragbook.app. Definitely download it and definitely leave some reviews because I'm pretty sure that helps,
It does.
feedback for Nika. And not only that, it helps the app get noticed in the App Store. So once again, that is the bragbook.app. Definitely download it. It's for iOS only right now, but it is available in the App Store. So definitely download it and leave a review.